So, Mr. Frank, we're just waiting on everybody. Can you hear me?
So, Mr. Frank, we're just waiting on everybody.
Oops.
Can you hear me? So, Mr. Frank, we're just waiting on everybody.
Oops.
Can you hear me? So, Mr. Frank, we're just waiting on everybody.
Oops.
Can you hear me? So, Mr. Frank,
That's okay. That's okay. Hi there, Miss Twyla.
Are we the only ones?
Not yet. We've got some more people that are going to be coming in. I'm doing my thing. I'm setting the chairs up for all of you.
Are we the only ones?
Not yet. We've got some more people that are going to be coming in. I'm doing my thing. I'm setting the chairs up for all of you. Hang on. Okay. There we go. Hopefully, I hope you and Mr. Frank are doing well. I see both.
I am.
Good. Yeah, hopefully both of you are safe and healthy. Crystal should be logging on. We lost Mr. Frank. Okay.
He'll come back.
Okay. Welcome, Miss Julie. How you doing?
Good, thank you.
Okay. Let's see. I'm going to try and see if I can set up. Let me see if this works. I just wanted both of you to know, one of the options we have is multiple participants can share simultaneously. I'm hoping this doesn't blow up on us. Let's see. If it does, come right back. All right. Nothing blew up on us. We're good.
Okay.
And okay, Mr. Frank's back. There he is. Welcome back, Mr. Frank. So I let Crystal know that everyone is logging in. So I don't know if she's having technical difficulties or not. So I hope everyone's writing is going well as also. I'm well into a new project I started. I'm already at 35 pages as far as that, and I think an additional 40, I think it's about 40 so far that I got. But I'm good for me. My writing project's going to be a little different than probably many of you. I feel like I'm sculpting a story. So it's something new for me. I was always a short story writer. So I take it none of you had any problems linking or logging in?
No problems here.
Cool. All right.
Although I can't see Julie or Edmund's, I don't have their pictures.
Um, they, it depends on what they're using to log in. Also, I made certain that everyone had a choice as far as whether or not they wanted to enable video or not.
Gotcha.
So I value privacy. As we go along, perhaps Ms. Steinbaugh and Mr. Frank, will feel comfortable enough to, here we go, here's Crystal. But anyway, perhaps they'll feel comfortable enough to turn on the video.
Okay.
Here we are. Here she is, lady of the hour. Can you hear us, Crystal? Okay.
Okay, now I can hear you guys.
And this is Edson Frank. I can hear you too.
Okay. Miss Twyla, looks like, did you see the chat from Julie? From Ms. Steinbaugh?
Chat.
You have the ability to also type in text.
Oh, gotcha.
This is a perfect way for everybody to get away with it. Mr. Frank, I don't know if you're seeing it as well.
Yeah. How's it going? Yeah, say it again. Continue what you're
There's
saying.
Crystal.
I'm right here. I'm here. I'm going to get those. I'm going to get those writing samples up. Hold on just
Okay.
a second. What is this?
Good, Frank. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, thanks.
Miss Julie, on behalf of everybody, welcome to Las Vegas. And welcome to our group.
I'm actually eating some pie. It's raspberry. I think it's like 3 different berries. Then it's got strawberry, boysenberry, and cherry. I think.
So when you're ready, Crystal, all you have to do is share screen.
Okay. So what does share screen do? Does it share my screen?
Yeah, when you enable share screen.
Okay. All right. So I will do that when I get these, when people are reading their work, I will put their work up on the screen so everyone can follow.
Okay.
Twyla, did you have a, are you SailCat? Did you submit a, any writing?
I did not.
Oh, okay. That's fine. I'm glad you joined us.
Thank you. I've not been to one of these meetings, but I've always wanted to do a critique and I wanted to see what it was like first.
Okay, absolutely. Yeah, a lot of people do that. Looks like maybe Ed Frank is about to join us. Is he on yet? Ed, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. I'm on the phone.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Okay, and so looks like there's going to be Julie Steinbaugh and then the, I'm sorry, who? Forgot the name of the lady who is SailCat. Just a second.
Yeah, Rose.
Rose, yeah. So
You'll see her.
I'm
Yeah,
hoping to
you'll see
wait
her
for
when she comes
Rose.
up.
Uh-oh, where did my Zoom go?
Yeah, I was telling Miss Twyla, I'm just here setting up the chairs like I always do. So Miss Twyla, just so you know, this is the first time we have tried Zoom or using this feature. Mr. Frank, Miss Julie, again, we tried, Crystal and I tried Hangouts and we tried Skype. But this seems to be the most versatile software, or the most versatile any video conferencing software that's on the web that we could subscribe to.
Reduce your.
Bob, would you like to get started? I mean, it's 6:11, so I think we
Sure.
should probably, everybody can join. Did you want to go first? Everybody, Bob might have to leave early, so I thought we'd let him go first if that's okay.
Sure.
Okay, so I'll get your story up and I'll put it up on the screen,
All right,
okay?
go ahead.
Okay, just a second, and then, hold on, just a minute. I'm gonna have to choose share screen. Where was that? Okay, here we go. Share a screen. Okay, can you guys see my screen? Oh, go on to Five Arts. You didn't, let me. Five Arts what, Facebook? Five Arts Writers Critique. Or Five Arts Writers Workshop.
Oh, cool. Is your sister there?
Yeah, Holly wants to join. I'm trying to
Cool.
tell her how to come up. Okay, so so I don't know how to bring the document to the
Okay,
foreground.
let me
Can you see my document behind there?
see. Let me make sure.
It's okay if we can. I mean, it's not a big deal.
Oh, nice.
Oh wait, let me try this one. Can you guys
That's
see
it.
that?
That's it. There you
Yes.
go.
Okay, great.
That's got
See
it.
all of it? Let me see if I can make it larger. There, is it larger?
Oh, yes.
Okay, great.
You'll be turning 60.
Do you want to get started, Bob?
Sure.
Okay.
All right. So what all of you are seeing is an excerpt of what I've been working on. And this is actually encompassing 2 years.
But I was looking at.
What I'm doing is I am taking part of my life when I was a kid. I was a teenager from the ages of 14 to 16. As all of you remember, when all of us were 14 and 16, I think a lot of us suffered from hormone anxiety. But what I have endeavored to do is to look at this as as when I was 14, when I was 15. And I actually, as a child, as a teenager, I actually had to go to it was a, I guess you would call it an institution, but it was 2 years out of my life. One thing I did not realize until just a few years ago was that the institution was being investigated by the Senate, by the government, for not just their practices. Check in here. I'm checking to see if Holly's coming in yet. I don't see Holly yet. But they were being investigated for their practices. And by the time I left, they were closed. They were actually being closed. And what you are seeing is it was the owner, the psychiatrist that ran it. His name was Dr. Cambly. And by the way, the names you are seeing are real. What I will be doing is I'll probably be touching base. You never know. I might be going to Miss Twiley here. All those names are going to have to be something else. I'm going to change them. For now, you're just seeing the first draft. Eventually, all the names are I'm going to come up with different names, and I will fictionalize this. So with Crystal's help, everyone's help, I just hope this can be successful. But let me see. So what you're seeing here, and let me go ahead and start. It said, my first meeting with Dr. Cambly was strange in a sort of eclectic kind of way. I'd been at the center for a week. The newness of my surrounding had not quite rubbed off yet. I came down to the nurse's station to pick up my medication for a hyperactive thyroid condition, propylthiouracil. A black-haired beauty of a nurse named Sharon gave me my dose. Sharon had the longest, blackest hair I'd ever seen, with large green eyes and pouty lips saturated with ruby red lipstick. Sharon wore a loose-fitting sweater that day. Unfortunately, her voluptuous figure was not hidden from my 14-year-old heart, which pounded with hormonal desire. Looking back, it seemed like there was a frighteningly high percentage of attractive nurses who worked at the center. There were a few average-looking nurses as well, which were outshone by wonderfully brilliant personalities. According to my 14-year-old eyes, however, Sharon was downright dazzling. As I downed my pill, the outside door flew open and Dr. Cambly rushed into the room. A large briefcase and several thick file folders stuffed with papers were under his arm, along with the ring of keys in hand. He fumbled with numerous keys, choosing 2 to 3 wrong ones, before he managed to find the correct key to unlock the door to his adjoining office. He happened to look up and noticed me looking at him. At first, Dr. Cambly was not the way I pictured him. He was the picture of a middle-aged man of his day. Besides his obvious growing paunch, the top of his head glistened with remnants of what had been deep brown hair. Thick black horn-rimmed glasses took up most of his face that had become round. Though his clothes looked very comfortably expensive and loose, they could not take away the growing sag of his chin. He had at least 2 to 3 days of beard growth that gave away more gray than brown hair. Ah, Robert, just the person I want to see. Will you step into my office, please? Dr. Cambly's voice did not match his features. He possessed a booming bass voice that carried well across the room and into the closed door of the nurse's station. No doubt the whole world knew that Dr. Cambly wanted to talk to me that day. I dutifully waited. Oh, I got you, Holly. Okay, there we go. I dutifully waited for Dr. Cambly to unlock his door, open it, and set the files down on his desk. I remember that it was a green desk, older and more tattered than imposing. It didn't match the wood paneled walls or the deep brown carpet in his office. He motioned me over to him. I hope you don't mind if I shave while we talk. I have an important meeting that I have to get ready for. I shook my head. Not at all, Dr. Cambly. He laughed, opening the door to his adjoining bathroom. I liked his laugh. Kind of a Santa Claus-y kind of laugh. So how are you getting along? I shrugged my shoulders. Okay, I guess. Dr. Cambly took a loose-fitting sweater that he was wearing, or he took off a loose-fitting sweater that he was wearing. A V-neck t-shirt covered his sagging chest and limbs. Dr. Cambly looked old, more like someone's grandfather. Are the other boys treating you okay? I nodded. How about sleep? Are you having any problems sleeping? And I shook my head. No, sir, I've been getting comfortable with everything here. Dr. Cambly took off his glasses and placed them on the lip of the sink. He opened the mirrored medicine cabinet, retrieved a can of shaving cream, which he balanced on the thin lip of the sink. Steam quickly rose up from the faucet. It says sink, but it should be faucet, as he turned on the water, picked up a bar of plain white soap and lathered his hands, grabbed a towel that hung from the wall next to him and draped it over his shoulders. Good, great. So we'll be having a group therapy session for everybody later this week. It's downstairs in the group therapy room. I nodded. Okay, where's that? He ran the faucet and splashed water on his face. He faced the sink as he talked, the water dripping from his wrinkled skin. I'll have Rick show you where it is later. And I nodded. Okay, thanks, Dr. Cambly. He grabbed the can of shaving cream. I can still remember the slurping sound that it made as it issued out over his hands and dripped into the sink. He slathered the shaving cream over his neck and chin. The shaving cream covered his nose. How the hell did he breathe with that stuff on him? So what I wanted to talk to you about was your mother and father. I looked over your records and noticed your father hit you a lot. Is that true? I shrugged my shoulders. Yeah. Dr. Campbell focused intently on the mirror as he dragged the razor across his face. Scritch. The razor made a strikingly different sound as it cut his whiskers. It was unusually loud, like he was dragging the surface of the razor across coarse sandpaper. Okay, we'll talk about that in group. Scritch. I cringed as the sound that the razor made. I waited for him to cut his throat with the damn thing. I had seen that happen once as a child in a bathhouse in Japan. It was an old man, like Dr. Campbell. The old man had been shaving with a straight razor like Dr. Campbell was now, only he had inflicted a deep cut into his throat. The man splashed hot water on his cut, a decision that quickly transformed the clean water in the bathhouse to a ruddy red pool. Dr. Campbell held the end of his nose up as he scratched the edge of his straight razor under his nose. He ran the edge quickly under his cheek when he cut himself, grabbed a piece of toilet paper from the nearby roll and pasted the cut with the paper. He then wiped the rest of his face with the towel that he had draped over his shoulders. I looked up at him. How many people will be there? Dr. Campbell reached for a white long-sleeve shirt that hung from a wall next to him. I saw a red tie with it. All of us? Okay. Are the nurses there too? No, nurses are not going to be there. It'll be myself and Dan. He's my co-therapist. I shrugged my shoulders. Okay. Do I need to bring anything with me? Dr. Campbell buttoned up his shirt and was tying his tie when he answered me. Just bring yourself. Okay. He shooed me out of the bathroom with a hand and closed the door to his office. Well, I have to go. He put on a blue suit jacket that hung from a hook behind the door. He retrieved his satchel and thick files from his desk and motioned with his arm for me to get out of his office. Okay, have to go. Okay, have a good day, Dr. Campbell. Dr. Campbell did not say anything else. He reached behind him to lock his door and nudged it shut with a hand. Dr. Campbell had transformed into a professional in front of my eyes. He strode briskly out of the office. I went over to one of the couches in the reception room and plopped down on it. One thought was on my mind. What the hell happened? What kind of a conversation was that? I stood up and went to see if Sharon was doing anything in the nurse's station. Sharon was hunched over what looked like a lot of paper. So I decided to see if my new friend Tex was down in the basement. Maybe he was playing pool. Maybe he was in the downstairs kitchen with a snack. Anything had to be better than the conversation I just had with Dr. Campbell. I did not know what kind of meeting Dr. Campbell was headed to. In retrospect, I now know where he was going. At that age, my mind was on younger tasks. I was ready to explore what was going to be my new home. So I wanted to break it off there because there's too many pages. And Crystal, you wanted us to keep it to 5.
Yes, and if you don't mind, I'd like to start out the critique.
Sure.
Okay, when I read this, I found that first chapter really riveting, and it totally had me hooked at the very last, at the last scene. I like the detail that you bring in to your scenes. It really puts the reader right there, and I like all the. I especially like the scene with Dr. Campbell because it was so strange, and it seemed so inappropriate, and it kind of made my skin crawl. But I liked seeing it from the eyes of a very naive kid, And so I think that as far as the storytelling goes, I think the storytelling is very strong. It's a very interesting story. I want to know more. I want to know what happens to this kid and what his relationship is like with Dr. Campbell. Now, as far as where it could be better, I think that it could be word crafted and tightened a bit. Like for instance, like on the second, actually kind of the first paragraph, it says, a black-haired beauty of a nurse named Sharon gave me a dose. Sharon had the longest, blackest hair I'd ever seen. Once you say that she's a black-haired beauty, you don't have to talk about her hair anymore. I've noticed that the best the best descriptions, whether it's scenes or individuals, are what I call description haiku, you know, like where you really want to grab those elements, like her black hair, her green eyes, the how you could still detect her figure under the loose fitting sweater. Those are really nice details. They really do create a picture, and your character's frame of mind. But again, it's just like you need to really tighten it up and make it almost poetic. You know, like poetry captures a lot of detail in very, very few lines, like a great economy of words. But anyways, like I said, I think that's really strong storytelling, and I really like where it's going.
Thank you.
Would anyone else like to speak up?
Yeah, this is Ed Frank.
Hi, Ed.
You can hear me?
Yes, I hear you fine.
Okay. I thought it ran very well also, but there was a lot of stuff that was not on the manuscript I received. All very good stuff, but it wasn't all there.
Oh, had you, Bob, had you rewritten the manuscript from the time that you sent it to me?
I may have. I don't know. I don't remember.
Okay, that's all right.
There is that possibility.
I think you did, but hey, by the way, are we going to make our thoughts, write our thoughts on the manuscript and send it back to you now? Is that the idea? Because I can write on your manuscript in red and send it back and make my comments and stuff.
Actually, Ed, it's better if you make the comments for the benefit of the whole group, because then everybody can learn from it. And just
Yeah, who can remember when you can't write it down as you go?
Oh, I see.
Yeah, I can write it down after. I can go over and write it down afterwards and bring my thoughts back a lot deeper than what I can just trying to pick up on what I heard. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
But what I heard, here's what I heard.
Mm-hmm.
You have this kid shrugging at least 3 times, maybe more, I'm not sure. He shrugged his shoulders. Leave his shoulders off because he shrugged is good. I shrugged is good. You start a lot of sentences, or if you can change your sentence structure around a little bit and get around and starting sentences with the same word, that helps a lot. Let's see, there was something else. Oh, yeah, you had one point in there where you say Dr. Canby held the end of his nose when he was shaving. I think that needs to start a new paragraph right there. Also, several times in here you do flashbacks. Flashbacks always throw the reader out of the story. They always do. You don't want to do that. You want to mold it all in there, but it's okay to realize it's a flashback, but because we know he's talking about the past, but to actually say, I remember when, or like that, you throw your reader right out, and you don't want to do that.
No, I don't want to lose you.
And really about all I have right now that I can say without sitting with your manuscript and writing on it, which I intend to do.
Yeah, please do. He'd probably like that extra information. And thank you for that, Ed. Yeah. And I have to, that was a really good point about the flashbacks, that my view on flashbacks, if you're going to go in a flashback, pack your bags and make your airline reservations and go all the way. What that means is a flashback should be like a story inside of a story. It's like you go all the way back, and because that story makes a point, it fills out that character's experience or brings in new crucial information for the plot. But yeah, I agree that the mini flashbacks should be avoided. I had to catch that in my own work and go back and sanitize all my mini flashbacks. But anyways, good point. Does anybody else want to weigh in?
I thought it ran very well. Otherwise, you know.
Thank you. So I'm writing down as far as the flashback.
Okay. Would Julie or Holly or Twyla want to add 2 cents?
Hey, by the way, are we all going to make our notes on the paper and send it back to you? So that you can
if you like. I think I might do that.
I think that would probably work a whole bunch better as far as the critiquing, because that way we'll have a copy of what you say, and if You know, it's not what you just picked up during the reading, you know, because that's hard to remember it all.
Okay, all right.
I think in past critique groups I've been in, we have done it pretty much, written it down and then read it for everybody. But here it's a totally different format. But I would still think that the written critiques are slightly better because they last longer. I mean, you have a physical copy of them.
Mhm. Yeah, you can do,
Exactly.
I've had it done both ways where it's either just strictly verbal or people will write on it and give it back to you. They're both of them are very helpful.
Well, thank you again, everybody. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, should we move on to the next work? Or did anybody else have any more remarks on Bob's piece? No? Okay, Ed, would you like me to read your piece?
Sure, go for it.
Okay, just a second, let me bring that up. Let's see, which one is it? It's lessons test part 1, right? Is that yours?
That's it.
Okay, so let me share my, let me see, share screen and talking.
And by the way, when I set that up, I set it up with lines in between each line, so you can go right in between the lines and just write what you want to write, and it doesn't mess with the existing copy.
Okay, sure, I will do that
And
for
if you
you.
do it with a different color, like red or something, it works a lot better.
Okay, all right, so chapter 22, lessons, tests, and validations. Lucy, the wound on my leg had finally healed by the time I met her, as had the one on my heart. We first met at Karen's facility. Lucy was supporting the basic IQ seminar and I coaching for an advanced one. Again, a mutual friend seemed intent on our meeting. You know one another of those people who have a need to save others from their loneliness. Our friend didn't know that, or our friend didn't know that though in between relationships, I wasn't all that lonely. Yet Lucy clearly was. There was something about her which reminded me back then when I too began life again, alone. Someone suggested coffee, and we all three met down the street at Marie's Coffee and Cholesterol. Our friend quickly and discreetly remembered a pressing engagement and left almost immediately. The ploy was transparent, but Lucy had a vulnerable quality which suggested it might be her ploy, and I kept silent. I believed in being open and honest without playing the games, and recognized how most everyone does play them, certainly those who haven't yet accepted themselves and are afraid of rejection. For me, a simple, hi, I find you very attractive. Would you like to have coffee and get to know me? Would have been preferred. Yet, what I know about life is it doesn't work to rub a puppy's nose in its doo-doo. It won't stop them from shitting, and it doesn't tell them anything about where to do it. I liked her right off. She was small and petite and very well shaped. Though I towered over her, dwarfing her like a child, she carried herself with maturity and grace that clearly said it didn't matter. In that, her manner spoke of a certain maturity. Lucy had one of those faces that could be termed cute in a dark-eyed, cured sort of 40-ish way. When she smiled, her soft brown eyes lit up and her laughter carried the essence of champagne. At those times, the 40-ish vanished and the beauty of a pure young spirit shined brightly through. During our relationship, Lucy was champagne nearly all the way. We talked for hours, in fact, closed the place. I learned she'd separated from a husband of some 20 plus years and was only a few months alone. In her eyes, I saw her fear of men, though with me, the attraction seemed perhaps to overshadow the fear. There was a fragileness about her, almost like her confidence had been stripped away, and she felt naked and alone. 2, there was a strength in her that said clearly she had made a choice. She had taken her own path and would not stop her quest, whatever the cost. She was looking to connect with friends who were on paths like hers and would accept and perhaps give her a hand. Was she unaware the hand she wordlessly asked for just now could only be the hand of a man? Like many women, Lucy's connection with others and place in the world seemed one of a dependent gender orientation. She had never known any life other than one born to a man, first her father, then husband. She'd been a daughter, wife, mother, but never a self-sufficient woman. Like she had with men, I too had always given my bottom line control over to the women in my life. Whatever her connection with me, no one would be dependent this time. Yes, I connected with her closely, knew intimately her feelings, for I once felt them too. I traveled a path like she was on and knew exactly how I could best serve her. Though I did not say it so crudely, she now wanted a little fun, unjudged, connecting kindness. Like Jackie once did before me. Oh, like Jackie once did for me back then, Lucy now needed of someone now. She needed to see how she could hold her own power and still be desirable. It seemed she had chosen me for her mercy, Fuck. We'd been talking a long while, and I knew she was comfortable with me when I said, Lucy, I've told you my story. It's much the same as yours. I was where you are once, and I needed someone who would be there for me. I'd left my wife of more than 25 years, and I needed to know I could still function with other women again. My wife never really accepted me. I needed a woman who would, one who would be my friend and more. I'd like to be your friend and more. You get to choose how much more and when. My speech over, I sat quietly, waiting for her answer. Lucy stared at me silently for a long moment, contemplating the meaning of what I'd said, apparently confused. Any answer she may have given was preempted by the waitress telling us they were closing. She still seemed a little confused when, after we'd paid our checks and stepped outside, she said, Look, Jeff, you're way ahead of me in your personal growth, and certainly you have a lot to teach me about being single again. She seemed at a loss of words, so I helped her along. Yes, but? Well, Jeff, I just don't think I should be jumping into bed with strange men. She said it in a rush, and while I knew she thought it to be true, certainly too, I knew the needs and wants she was feeling right now. I'd been there. Lucy's feelings told her clearly. With me, this statement was a lie, but everything in her upbringing said it was truth. The result was confusion, a war within herself. There was her belief system that told her it shouldn't be, and her heart which said it was. Lucy obviously had a way to go in getting in touch with the truth of her heart. She'd need to move herself out from under all those shoulds. They are the excrements of other people's minds. In fact, probably every ancestor she had. Jump into bed with me? That part's up to you. I'm only offering to help meet one another's needs, whatever they are. I had an urge to smile at myself. Why was I propositioning her? I'd never propositioned a woman before. And right now, perhaps for the first time in my life, there was no real want or even need. Since Leisha, I spent a lot of time alone, just me and the bike. I deliberately avoided sex. It wasn't my way to have it without a more complete relationship. And for the first time in my life, there was no shortage of volunteers. Right now, I was just enjoying the relationship I'd had with me, not that it involved all that much sex. But Lucy, she touched something in me. I'd been given something precious and healing once and now felt the need to give it back. I went on to clarify. I'm not in a relationship with anyone right now, and I'm not looking for another wife. I only do women sexually one at a time, and I don't have to be strange to you. You don't have to go there with me for me to be your friend not if you don't want to. Lucy's eyes still carried that glaze, incredulous look, telling me I'd been more direct than she was used to. But with it, there was a certain energy of excitement. This and the fact I hadn't been slapped encouraged me to be even more so. Fact is, Lucy, I'm quite attracted to you, and I don't ask or need to go to bed with everyone I'm attracted to, and I want to be your friend regardless. By now, we are at Lucy's car. Did her continued silence mean she felt pressured? I released Annie with a shrug. Hey, call me if you like, and I'll be seeing you around. Let's just see where we go. Then I opened my hands and arms slightly outward in an unspoken request for an IQ hug. Handshakes just don't carry the quality of acceptance of a hug. As our bodies touched, I could feel a slight stiffness in hers and kept mine neutral, not conveying any further offering except for a quick pat and pause just before we parted. It's often been remarked about how your handshake can tell others so much about you, almost like opening a book once they've learned to read. A hug is that, multiplied 1,000 times. I love hugs, and almost always mine end with a pat or two just before the parting. The message is clear, at least subconsciously. The pat, I want to be, am your friend. the pause before parting, I'd like to be in your life for a while. Part of the reading of hugs is done intuitively by feeling the energy. The rest is spoken outright with the action. I would have hugged Lucy in a more intimate fashion had her immediate, though slight stiffening not set a boundary. Also, the bridging, where she only hugged with the upper part of her body, told me clearly, I'm not comfortable being touched by you just now. Instead, my touch is neutral, a safe place for her to go, where and when she wished with me. Her hug also told me immediately that trust and possibly respect must be earned with her. It is not the same with me. Respect is something no one has to earn from me. I give others the same respect deserving of an equal. Then in my experience of them, they might earn more or push away what they have. Normally, I don't hang around with those who don't respect me, but Lucy's vulnerable qualities seem to say, I'll respect you and accept you when I feel I can trust you. In their fear, some won't give respect until they first trust and accept them. For them, it is a matter of judging from experience. I am always willing to give them the experience and opportunity if our lives intersect long enough. I just don't go to any lengths to make that happen. Trust for me is only slightly different. For me too, it is something that requires a conscious choice, a taking into action what I know of that person, the level of integrity they've displayed in the past, and my intuitive feelings. Those I trust with my life and physical well-being are people who are a reflection of me, people I can choose to play life with, people who are my equal or more in integrity. But those I trust my feelings, I take responsibility. Aren't my feelings something which only require I trust me? I just wrangled my bike backwards out of the parking stall and was about to hit the starter when Lucy pulled up next to me. Leaning out her window, she eyeballed me in mock seriousness. Sir, I'd like to know just what your intentions are with me. Her scowl was in comical imitation of parental sternness. Well, I assure you my intention is honest. We're on similar paths, though since you've started your divorce, you might be a little behind. Likely, we've a little healing and learning to do with one another. I grinned rakishly. In short, I don't exactly see you as my soulmate, and I intend to jump your bones, rattle them around some, and find out who you are to me. Okay, all right, Ed.
No, Ed, tell us what you really think.
Okay, let me see if I can join the meeting again. Stop share. Okay, so does anybody want to dive in?
I will be happy to critique that. I think you've got a couple of word choice awkwardnesses, and I think it could be really smoothed out, but I really like it. I find it very amusing.
Thank you.
Yeah, so Ed, I was, it's funny, I'm very gullible, so I couldn't tell if it was tongue in cheek or if you were really serious, but it seems, I like the story, it's cute, and I like the friendly sort of upbeat ending and how, it's funny, it's like Lucy, you kind of spotted that Lucy needs to come out of her shell, so you just kind of, not exactly cross the line, but just were kind of like the first to kind of like, just break the ice with your, just like, let's break the ice, Lucy, bang, bang. But I liked it. I liked the upbeat quality of it. And, but I kind of felt like that the guy in there, it's kind of like he doesn't really give himself a chance to get to know Lucy before he's pretty much telling himself who she is. And it's like, I don't think you know her yet. You're getting to know her. But anyways, it sounds like the beginning of a cute, fun, sort of a romantic comedy kind of a story to me.
It is in past tense, by the way, so that means that I do know her.
Okay.
In the writing part, and I don't know, maybe I'm making a mistake there on that, but this is only 1/3 of the chapter. It's 5,000 words long. Actually, almost 6, I think.
Wow.
So you're only getting in a third of the time.
So do you still know Lucy?
Last I saw Lucy was a couple of years ago.
Oh.
And it was just in passing. Yes, I still know her, and actually, she kind of has a hard on for me at the moment. By hard on, I mean she's not real happy with me. Still.
Oh, okay, in a bad way, not a good way.
She's one friends that may have a problem with me, but actually I think she got over it.
Okay, good, good. Okay. Well, I thought it was a fun, upbeat piece. I can't, it's funny. I will see if I can get into more detail as far as editing. You can't really edit when you're, in a format like this, but as far as editing, I will try to give you some tips and send them back to you.
Good idea. Did you feel that I got into the picking everything apart, the philosophy, all that? Do you think I went a little overboard on that? It did seem to drag a little to me.
Oh, I think the last part could be tightened up a lot. Yeah, I think that we want to, I mean, it's okay to have like I think once you're out of the scene, one of the things when I read books, I like to be in the scene. And as far as any kind of like connective material between scenes, I like that to go by pretty fast. I like to be brought from scene to scene, and that way that's called like showing, not telling. But I think the last part's what's called expository writing. And if you're writing a fiction, you should keep the expository writing to an absolute minimum, because that's called telling, not showing.
Yeah, that's the way I was feeling about it too. I'll shorten it up.
But that was a great piece to share. I enjoyed reading it.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so yes.
Everyone I think all of us can see the note from Julie to Edmund, but I don't know if Edmund, on your phone, are you able to read text on your phone, Edmund?
On my phone? Look.
That's okay. No, if you want one of us can read, what Julie.
Yeah, why don't you read it? I can't see it, Bob. Otherwise, I would. But if you can see it, why don't you read it?
Yeah, Julie's actually writing in our Zoom group chat, Edmund, and she wanted you to know that she liked the playful tone.
Oh, I see. Okay. Click on your chat button and you can see it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been like 0.8.
I think you're cutting out there, Ed.
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay.
It's just very small.
Okay, so we've had, we were going to have 4 pieces, but did Rose ever join us?
She did not. I didn't see anything for her joining us.
Okay, that's okay. Well, we can save hers for next time. But so I could read mine.
Please.
Okay, so let me see. Okay, so now mine's a little different. Mine is not fiction. Mine is nonfiction. I am writing a science-based diet book. This is what I'm working on now. And this is my chapter 2. So let me, once again, let me bring up my chapter and then see if I can hit the, what was it, share? Where did my share screen thing go? I don't see it anymore.
It's going to be on the bottom.
So just okay, I see it. I see it. Okay, there we go. Okay, the optimal human diet. Okay, so I will read this out loud. Okay, so okay, so this is chapter 2, and this is a diet based on the latest science, and so the first chapter was basically all the science. I probably should have read that one first, but this is chapter 2. So I'm going to be talking about the microbiome. I wish I could explain it. I explained it in chapter 1, but the microbiome is basically a huge collection of microorganisms in your gut that basically do most of the heavy lifting of digesting your food. Scientists have just realized that they do most of our digestion, and then our own bodies just kind of do the wrap up. But anyway, let me go ahead and get started on this. Our ancient ancestors roamed a landscape lush in culinary delights. Prehistoric humans were opportunistic eaters who evolved alongside the landscape, and their options changed with the seasons. Daily scavenger hunts rendered a cornucopia of treats such as flowers, fruit, leaves, roots, nuts, seeds, grains, insects, and the occasional small game. The trendy paleo diet rests on the supposition that a meat-heavy diet with few carbohydrates can restore us to ideal health because that's what prehistoric humans ate. But according to reputable archaeologists, prehistoric humans ate a predominantly plant-based diet with an abundance of grains that paleo advocates claim were absent. Ancient people on the shore of the Sea of Galilee ate wheat and barley during the peak of the last ice age, over 10,000 years before people began farming these grains. Paleobotanists have even found evidence of barley and other grain trapped in the teeth of 40,000-year-old Neanderthal fossils. Clearly, grains have made up a significant portion of human meals for eons. If you want to eat a real paleo diet, try out some healthy snacks like ants, crickets, grasshoppers, and worms, all rich in animal protein and all very much a part of an early Cro-Magnon diet, far more so than beef or pork. French to thank for rediscovering the ancient paleo treats, which are garden snails, also known as escargot, which means garden snails in ancient Gaelic. Early humans eventually developed the weapons to hunt big game, but hunting requires a great deal of effort. Imagine yourself on an ancient hunting trip. You walk a mile or two, maybe more if game is scarce, as it is in the wintertime. You spot an elk and track it down. You shoot it with a bow and arrow. Then you drag the carcass all the way back to your tribal encampment, but you're not done yet. You still need to skin and butcher it. Big game hunting is a lot of work, and there were far easier food options available to ancient people. While hunters provided their tribal communities with a good supply of meat, the supply available to modern consumers is far greater. Tribal people butchered most of their game into small strips and preserved it with some combination of salting, smoking, or drying. The preserved meat was stored and consumed in modest portions throughout the year. In a recent European study, researchers examined correlations between food patterns and microbial groups focusing on the following foods: plant carbohydrates, plant proteins, animal protein, low-fat fermented dairy. They divided these foods into the following food patterns: Mediterranean dietary pattern, protein, fats, and carbohydrates derived from beans, vegetables, fish, nuts, bread, yogurt, and wine. Western dietary pattern: protein, fats, and carbohydrates derived from meat, potatoes with gravy, plus fast foods made up mostly of sweet snacks, salty snacks, and soft drinks. In this case, the Mediterranean diet provided the control group insofar it produces a balanced microbiome. The modern Western diet provided a means of examining which microbial colonies grow out of balance when these modern, widely consumed foods dominate an individual's diet. The study proved an abundance of meat and high glycemic sugars and carbohydrates throws the microbiota out of balance and causes food addictions that can lead to a downward spiral in one's health. The study also confirmed that human dietary needs have changed little over the eons. Humans still thrive on a diet heavy in unprocessed vegetables and fruits, followed by beans, whole grains, nuts, and seeds, followed by oils derived from seeds and plants, followed by small portions of meat and dairy. People can cut meat and dairy from their diet and still enjoy good health, but the plant-based foods and oils are essential. Historically, aside from indulgent aristocrats who, much like King Henry VIII, often suffered from gout and diabetes, people were never big meat eaters until modern food production methods made meat cheap and plentiful. Since meat was traditionally considered a luxury due to the expense and trouble it took to produce it, once it became affordable, many people assumed they should consume a lot of it, along with other luxury foods such as sweets and dairy products. This sudden change in our available food options has created confusion in regard to what combination of foods comprise an optimal diet. One thing we know for certain, if a type of food makes you sick, it absolutely should not be part of your diet, or at least should be heavily restricted. Okay, so that's not the end of the chapter, but that's the introductory part. Any thoughts?
I have an idea, but I don't know exactly how you're writing this.
Uh-huh.
You're reading a lot like a textbook, which may be the message you're trying to get through. Mm-hmm. But I was wondering, I know you're an artist. Have you considered like maybe having two separate characters, like Paleo Man and Modern Man, and just show them doing their day, eating things, cutting things up, or, you know, going through and being supersized? I mean, you know, just like
cartoons.
Yeah, cartoons. And then just having them have a life, like a little story about them, about how they do these things and now what they do instead of.
That
going-
sounds like a children's book.
Okay,
So
Well,
I,
yeah.
I can, yeah, I know that it's, I'm going to try to base this on other books I've seen. And yeah, it is a little bit like a textbook. I don't want it to be, but I've never seen a book with cartoon illustrations. I mean, not a book like this. I'm trying to pattern it on books that are already out there that are selling well.
Okay.
Yeah, and so, but what about, I'm trying to wonder, I'm wondering if maybe I should put in like, fit in somehow real life anecdotes. I know everybody likes a story.
I
And so
think the story aspect would really kick it up a notch.
yeah, so I have to figure out a way to get a story in there. But I think I'll also, like, I know that the Zone book, that was like way back in the 90s, and that was like a runaway bestseller, but that was pretty much a textbook, you know, but I don't know if that would sell today. So I should probably look around. So
What is your market anyway?
I'm sorry, what?
What is your market?
People who diet.
Oh, okay. So it's a diet book.
Yeah, it's a diet book.
Cool.
Crystal, I liked it simply because in your second paragraph, I actually did that. So,
The keto diet or the paleo
yeah,
diet?
yeah. Well, it was a paleo diet, but that was back in 1990, I think, or
That's, yeah.
1992.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a book that I can't remember who the person was that wrote it, but that was exact with the example that the author gave was animals in the wild
Uh-huh.
and what those animals eat first.
Uh-huh.
And they were talking about predators,
Mm-hmm.
but it's very close, but it parallels what I remember reading a long time ago. But I loved it.
Oh, good. Now, what was the name of the book again?
I wish I could remember. I can't. That's too long ago, Crystal.
I know. Was it The Zone?
I'll tell you what. I will look around the library and my library and see if I still have it.
Okay.
I'm looking at it now. I couldn't even begin to tell you.
All right, that's all right.
But I do remember the book.
Okay.
Yeah, give me 2 weeks. I'll come up with it.
Great. I would like to see it. I mean, if it's one that you read, because I do, sometimes when you write a book like this, it's good to get several that are sort of like it. Like Holly got me a book called The Eczema Diet that I read with great interest. And if I still have it, I should probably pick it up and look at it again. But I think most of her chapters read something like this. But I remember it was a well-written book and it held my interest.
I agree with Julie.
What did you
I did not. Yeah, I did not feel that it did not read easily. So, yeah, I agree with Julie.
Just a second. I have to get back. So what did Julie say? I thought it read easily. I was intrigued. Oh, thank you, Julie. Thanks for the positive feedback.
I'm a little curious.
Yes.
How are you planning on structuring this book? Are you going to put recipes in there or what?
Yes, the last part is going to be recipes. It's going to have the back end was going to be a cookbook.
And will it have food lists? I'm sorry. Will it include food lists that you will eat?
Yes, basically the diet is actually very simple. I make it clear. Over half your plate, slightly over half your plate should be vegetables, and that could be a combination of like roasted vegetables, some kind of cooked vegetables, and a raw salad. And then a big portion should have. I'm going to have. I think that people need to get away from things like bread and meat. And I think the thing that I'm really offering is the bean and rice casseroles. So, or actually it's like bean and grain casseroles. But everybody knows what rice pilaf is, right? So it's something like rice pilaf. Another casserole would be like Chinese fried rice. There's like jambalaya. But the idea is to get combinations of, like, say, you could add, you know, like rice and millet or barley. And sometimes you can buy them at the store. You've seen those grain and bean soup mixes. Those are perfect. But people should be eating lots of vegetables and fruit, but twice as many vegetables as fruit. Fruit has fructose in it, and natural fructose from fruit is actually very good for you. But it needs all the nutrients that come along with fruit. There's a lot to explain. That's just like a very small portion of the book. But I explain to people, I take them in a deep dive with how your food is digested, and basically the epidemiology behind how sugar causes diabetes, how it causes you to become more fat. It can cause Alzheimer's, how it causes cancer. It's just that chapter I'm still working on. It's very, very complicated, and it's a lot to tell. But when you get to the diet, it's very simple. It's mostly vegetables, it's grain dishes, and then you should use meat really as an ingredient, or just be a veg, you know, the whole week, and then maybe have, like, if you want to have a roast on the weekend or something. But the idea is people need to cut way, way back on meat. It should never be the centerpiece of your diet. And so, yeah, and I try to keep the recipes very quick and simple. I know a lot of people don't have a lot of time to cook. So I start out with the easiest recipes to make, and also tips like, you know, just buy one of those, you know, the bags of chopped vegetables you can get, and just bring them home and steam them up. Like, yeah, but people just need to know what to eat and what not to eat, and it's not that complicated. So, but yeah, it'll have a lot of recipes in the back.
Are you going to go from do any personal experience stuff in this book?
I
Little
don't
stories?
know. What I'd really like to do is get some people. I'm hoping to find some friends that I could put on my diet and get some results. But I don't. Yeah, I don't really have a lot of weight to lose. My problems were actually more inflammation. You know, it was inflammation that put me on track to, you know, to research the science of the food you eat. But,
well, inflammation is the cornerstone of most problems, isn't it?
Inflammation, yes.
Yeah.
It's caused by sugar mostly, but it's actually caused by a bad diet, and there's a lot of things that throw it out of balance. But anyways, yeah, I'm very excited about the book, and I'm plugging away at it. So, does anybody else? Yes.
My problem is my husband will never go eat like that. Did you get that?
I'm sorry. Your problem is your problem is what?
This,
Oh, it's in
if
chat.
you have if your husband,
Oh, what if you're married to a carnivore? Yes, I kind of have that problem too.
yes,
And and it's funny. I'm going to have a whole chapter about that, Julie.
yeah,
Because what I do with my carnivore is, like, for instance, he loves jambalaya, and so I will take just 1/4 of, you get those kielbasa sausages, those big horseshoe rounds. I'll take about 1/4 of that, and then I cut it up into little bits, and then I stir it up as an ingredient in the jambalaya, and it seems to hit that chord for him. Another thing you can do, one of the things I've noticed is that I like to buy, if you go to Sprouts, you can get humanely raised pork. And the reason I like pork with my carnivore is because there's things like bacon and sausage really, it's just little bits of it can really satisfy that urge. And plus you can smell it. I always brown it a little bit. It's like, oh, the house, it smells like me. And he's only getting a little itty bitty bit, but he smells it and he tastes it, and that seems to work.
yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm just saying it would be good to include that in the book.
Yeah, thank you. And I do plan to, like I said, I plan to have like a whole section on, well, because meat is one of the things people get addicted to. The book is about food addictions mostly. And I didn't cover that in this chapter, but yeah, so the big idea of my book is that before you diet, you need to contend with your food addictions. Mine was sugar and dairy, and I'm still struggling with it. But the good news about sugar is that you can make goodies and just switch out your white sugar for low glycemic brown sugars. Right now, I'm using evaporated cane sugar, and I love it. It's really, really good. It's even better than the regular sugar. Organic brown sugar is another one that's low glycemic. There's also things like honey. Honey's expensive. I use honey all the time, so I know it's expensive. But I found that the brown sugars work just as well as the white sugars, and so the first part of the diet is addressing your food addictions, and then and basically getting those under control. And then the next part of the diet is calorie counting, which is nice. I remember when I was on a calorie counting diet, you naturally figure out that your biggest calorie bargains are vegetables. You can eat a motherload of vegetables and even a lot of fruit with, and they're practically 0 calories. And so you figure out, oh, if I load up on the vegetables, then I can have just like a little bit of like avocado, which is like a gazillion calories. But it's like you figure out that the things that are more high caloric, you can still eat them, but you've got to fit them in your budget. And I noticed that I was eating an extremely healthy diet just by going for those calorie bargains. But yeah, but that's the second part of the diet, is counting calories and exercising. There are studies that show that 80% of diets fail, but the 20% that succeed all have certain things in common. And one of them is they're not these ketosis diets. Ketogenic diet, I have a whole chapter on, in fact, I'm working on a chapter on ketogenic diets and why they do not work. You do lose weight really fast, but you put it right back on even faster, because apparently what you're doing is triggering your body's famine response. And there's this whole protocol that your body goes through. And at the end of the protocol, you're fatter than ever, because that's your body's goal. Your body spent like millions of years fighting off food shortages, not food abundance. And that's why our bodies are geared towards fighting famines, not fighting the refrigerator. But anyways, like I said, I'm very happy with it. And I hope that my audience, my readers just love it. We'll see.
So, Crystal, I have a question.
Yes, Ed.
I'm going to be publishing 2 books on poetry.
Yes.
Stuff that I wrote in actually this book that I'm writing here that you heard a piece of.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of poems that I wrote in at the same time I was writing the original manuscript, and I took all those poems out because they act like speed bumps for most readers, So I took them out, and I have recently decided to just publish them separately as 2 books.
Mm-hmm.
There's actually 2 books that I've written, one that's published, and this is the second. This is the sequel. We're talking today. I have these books, poetry books, and I'm getting ready to publish the first one. I would like to find some way of illustrating it somehow.
Mm-hmm.
And do you like poetry? Would you be interested in possibly? It would need to be as far as the illustration, if illustrators to use the poems along the illustrations and sell them separately, like wall plaque, pictures, whatever, posters.
That sounds like that sounds like a wonderful idea. I'm so stacked up with my own projects. I don't have any bandwidth, but I do like your idea. And maybe there are illustrators out there that maybe you could go online and see if you can find somebody. But I don't know if I'm much of an illustrator. I'm certainly not a professional.
Well, that's what I would ask, being as you mentioned that you were into drawing.
I don't remember mentioning that.
Actually, I threw her under the bus for that one, Ed. She doesn't.
Yeah, you sure did.
Oh, that was many decades ago. Yeah, it's been very long since
right under the doors even.
No, that was false information. Sorry.
Oh, it wasn't false. She had a degree in it.
Well,
all right.
Yeah, Edmund,
Yeah,
do you know about our creative, the other side of our meetup group? It's a creative meetup group that's composed mainly of artists and photographers and musicians.
no, I don't.
Yeah, it's
Um,
on hiatus right now, but we're gonna, as soon as the quarantine is over, we're gonna put it back together.
Okay, well, can you like maybe hook me up somehow?
We'll be
be interested.
posting it on our, if that doesn't get posted on our writers workshop, it has its own meetup website, doesn't it, Bob?
yes.
Okay.
Edmund, what you could do is just go ahead and join our other group and put it out to the whole group.
What's it called?
It's the, let me go ahead and, it's long and convoluted. Let me see.
Can you send him a link?
He's on a phone.
Well, you can. I do have an email if you want it. I can give it to you.
All right, hang on. Give me 1 second. Keep talking, and then as soon as I can
think
butt
Julie
in,
had
I'll
a
butt in.
question. She
My
wanted to,
email is star98@fox.net.
Okay. Hang on. Okay, what is it again?
Star STAR 98 @cox.net.
All right. Star18@cox.net.
No, that's star 98.
Star98. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Sorry about all the little tones that you're hearing there. Star98@cox.net.
Yep.
Okay, I am going to go ahead. I've got the link right here. I'm not going to write anything else. I'm just going to say link to our creative site. And I'm sending it to you right now. Hang on. Does not recognize. Oh, crap. Sorry, everybody. I was in such a hurry. I put that in blind carbon copy. Okay, there you go. So I just sent it to you. So you should get it.
Okay, I'll watch for it.
Uh-oh, dead air.
Okay, so I think we've read all of our submissions, right? We might be at a stopping point.
What about Julie?
Julie, do you have something?
Oh,
Did Julie send anything in or?
I don't think I got anything from Julie. Did you have anything you wanted to share, Julie? I could read it for you if you want.
Yeah. How should I get this to you?
Can you see my email that I sent you? It says I'm at crystala6@gmail.com. Can you see on the chat?
Oh, yeah. Hold on. Just give me.
Okay, sure. I'll open up my email.
So Twyla, what do you think?
About,
The meetup, the group. Like
Well-
I said, this is our first one, so all of us are just getting to know each other too, except for myself, Crystal, and Holly. By the way, if you ever get a chance, buy Holly's book. It's great.
Oh, thank you.
And plug it.
Hey, you can buy mine too.
Oh
All right,
yeah,
Julie,
and
what's the
buy
name of
Frank's too. Yeah, buy Edmund's too.
Twyla, we usually have a much bigger group than this, but these are our Zoom meetings, our COVID virus Zoom meetings. So we don't get as much participation here, but we sure appreciate
I
you.
had a heck of a time getting on. I don't know how people do it.
What happened when you clicked the link, Holly?
Well, once I found the right page, but there's a whole bunch of 5 Arts stuff. And then I put in 5 Arts workshop thinking I would refine it. And I came into all these other workshops that weren't 5 Arts. So it was really
sorry about
difficult.
that. Well, next time I'll make sure you're on the list. I mean,
Well,
what
that
I
would be
sent
good,
out, you know. But so I don't think, oh yeah, Holly, you don't get the emails when I send them out, do you?
I
See,
do.
Holly and I don't get those emails. And I don't know why. Here, I'm like one of the moderators and I don't get those
That
emails.
is so weird.
It's
I
a-
know, I've got to, is there a way you can, is there a way you can check who's on the list, Bob?
I can. We
Okay.
yeah, it's just gonna take a while. We've got, well, how many we got now? We got close to 600 members.
Yeah, exactly. And I can respond, and say, yeah, I'm going to be there and what have you, but I have to go on the site. I never get the emails and I don't know why that's, and Holly doesn't get them either. That's why she didn't get the link.
Okay,
So,
because if I may, for
Uh-huh.
argument's sake, Twyla found us, and Mr. Edmund Frank found us, and Miss Julie found us. So-
I know, but for some reason we're not getting that stuff.
But I got the email.
Yeah, these guys got the email. Holly didn't.
Yeah, if we could get the email, we could get on here too.
Well, you might quit throwing her under the bus.
So Julie, were you planning on sending in a
Yeah,
sample? You got yes?
yeah, I was, you know what? Can I just share my screen?
To share the screen?
Yeah, it might be easier. You know what? I think it's gonna take me to more up.
We're gonna do this in 2 weeks again. Do you want to just wait until next time?
Yeah, I'll do it next time.
Okay, great. All right.
Wonderful.
Well, thank you guys for showing up and participating. And do you want to do it again in 2 weeks?
Sure.
Same time, Wednesday night, 6 p.m.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, great. I'll send out an invitation.
Hey, send me an email.
I'll just email you extra, Holly. I'll just remember that you
Thank
don't
you.
get them. So, okay. All right. Okay, should we
Hey,
go? Thank you so much for hosting the meeting, Bob. I mean, for getting us all on. Bob's our IT guy. He's really good at it.
I have a burning question I need to address.
Sure.
What was that, Ed?
This particular chapter we're reading right now, it
Uh-huh.
does have a spot of sex in it. Is that going to be a problem?
That.
Oh, we're grown-ups. Right, I think we'll deal.
Not
Good sex, Ed. That's all I'm saying.
porno or nothing, but it is scrappy.
Okay, all right. You have to read it though, not me.
Something, I don't know.
Okay, but as long as you read it, yeah, I don't want to read anything really graphic.
I can't read it. I can't, when I try to read something, I just don't do it very well.
Hi, Julie, is that you?
Hi.
Oh, I like your background. It's Red Rock.
Oh, that's pretty awesome.
Wow, look at you.
Nice.
Like teching all over.
Nice to meet you guys.
It's nice meeting you.
All right. Are you a fiction writer or a nonfiction, Julie?
I'm working on a memoir.
Memoir?
Yeah,
Wonderful.
I can't wait to read your chapter or your section.
I'm in a career change, so I decided this is the time to write.
Mm-hmm.
This is a great time to write.
We do have time.
Yeah, I know.
Everyone has
Yeah,
a
that's
lot
what
of
I'm
time,
saying about
Julie.
the quarantine. It's like we all got lots of time. But I found myself more busy than ever. I'm working on one book and trying to sell another one.
Well, you need to get your diet book done by the time that the quarantine's over because we're all going to need it.
Exactly. Well, that's what I was thinking. It's like, yeah, all these poor people who are getting hit the hardest are people who have the diabetes, obesity, and heart disease, the big three, And I feel so bad for them because these people have been addicted to food since they were children. It's hardly their fault once you find out what's going on. But okay, so should we wrap it up, Bob?
Everybody?
So we'll be hunting you down and joining next week at what time still? I mean, not next week, 2 weeks.
Two
from now?
weeks from now. Yeah, at six, when, next Wednesday, let's see what Wednesday that is.
And
That'll be
Holly,
the 29th
Okay. At 6 p.m.
at 6 p.m.
Mhm.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, now I know how to find you through all the mysterious,
And I'll remember that you don't get those messages, Holly.
scary alleys with broken glass.
I'll
Yeah,
make
I'll get there.
Or I'll just send you the link to the meeting on the.
Oh, that would be nice, but
Okay, all right.
I know you have high expectations of me.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Okay, I'm gonna
Okay,
find
so
my
I'm
leave. message.
signing out then. Okay,
I'm
goodbye,
signing.
everybody. See you 2
Bye.
weeks from now.
Bye-bye.
I'm
Bye.
leaving the meeting.
I'm leaving the meeting.
Bye.
Take care.